Number 24 is a somewhat interesting one.
My boy!
It's Spider-Man from the animated series specifically. The first bullet point interests me. The series was extremely limited by Fox's censorship on violence, as Spider-Man was limited when it came to fisticuffs.
Yeah, Spider-Man couldn't punch people. He had to kick them.
Although, you know what? He punches one person, although, you know, the reason why he didn't need fisticuffs was because of his spider blood. Spider blood. Radioactive spider blood. Fuck you, Johnny. That theme song's amazing. Radioactive Spider-Man.
Yeah, okay, and then it just kicks into and then you know what happens after that? It kicks into a guitar solo because they realize how fucking stupid those lyrics are.
Johnny, yeah, but you know why? Because the theme song was written by the guitarist from Aerosmith.
Yeah, so what?
What about when he gets the symbiote and yells all the time?
Shocker! You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth! Like, Jesus! Prince Eric's pissed! Jesus!
Yeah, but you know, it never hit quite the same kind of stride as the DC superheroes, but along with that,
Lewis, you know what? Lewis, in terms of ratings and popularity, Spider-Man, again, critically, not as much, but Spider-Man was a fucking big success. Aside from the first Batman, Spider-Man, I think, was one of the most successful superhero cartoons of the 90s.
Yeah, like when it
did insanely well.
When it comes to superheroes in general, like now that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a big thing, it's probably this might be different, but at least when I was growing up, the big three superheroes were Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, before any of the
Spider-Man,
other...
Yeah, Spider-Man, even today, despite what they want with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Spider-Man is still probably the most famous Marvel hero.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, guys, even today, I would argue if you go to ask someone random on the street and ask them to name 3 heroes, I would put money on still Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man being the average of what most people would say.
Yeah, but if we were going to talk about kids these days, I'm not sure, because, like, one thing I did like about, like, you know, with all of the copyright hijinks with the Marvel movies, one thing that it did do was that it did elevate heroes like Captain America, Iron Man, so on and so forth.
Well, it forced them to use them instead of just make a Spider-Man X-Men movie.
Mutants are out, Inhumans are in.
Yeah, Inhumans is kind of dumb, but you know, I've never watched this show though, so I don't really have an opinion on it. Like,
my opinion of it is that it's fine.
It's fine.
It's not spectacular, but it's not all that bad either. It's fine.
The writing's pretty good. The showrunner is an insane egomaniac. You should go on his Facebook page.
It's not spectacular. I wouldn't even say it's amazing. It's just Spider-Man.
It's not ultimate. It's not Web of. It's not Peter Parker D. It's just Spider-Man. Fuck you, Todd McFarlane. You ruined everything.
If you want a great Spider-Man show, watch Spectacular Spider-Man. That cliffhanger at the end of season 2 is going to piss you off, but the rest of it's a great show. So
you want a cliffhanger? The cliffhanger to this show has Spider-Man going to find Mary Jane, and he never does.
What? They ended on him trying to go find Mary Jane? What?
Yeah, it's too fucking long to explain here, but the ending, like, it's not really a cliffhanger. It ends with him going to basically him going to get Mary Jane, but they don't show them meeting each other again, which a lot of fans were like, you wasted 5 minutes having him meet Stan Lee. You could have had him fucking meet Mary Jane instead. Get out of here.
Yeah, well. Number 23 is something from Beavis and Butthead, apparently. Daria from Daria.
Oh, no, Daria was a character on Beavis and Butthead who went and had her own show.
Yeah.
Which I've heard great things about, but I've never watched, personally.
Oh, dude, Daria's fucking amazing. It is a really... I mean, it's... The Daria character, when she was in Beavis and Butthead, she was kind of just like a foil for them. She would just be like, you know, you guys are dumb. And I'm not, so I'm gonna go over here and do this. But yeah, she's a great character. She's based, but you know, we were talking about the goth characters and TV. Like Daria isn't goth, but
her friend
was
goth, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jane was kind of goth. Yeah, Daria is just the embodiment of just like I'm kind of not in an arrogant way, but just like I'm kind of
by stupid.
Yes, basically, like I'm surrounded by idiots, and
pizza here.
It's just I'm surrounded by idiots, and I don't care about anything. Daria was such a great fucking show.
Yeah, I should probably watch that at some point. It does sound pretty good from what I'm reading here. I don't like Beavis and Butthead specifically because they aren't my kind
they're
of
great.
character, but Daria seems like she would be my kind of character.
Okay.
So I guess moving on to number 22 is Scrooge McDuck.
Oh yeah, okay. IGN points out its own bullshit. Scrooge made his debut in a comic way back in 1947. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, technically, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, they're all way older than that.
Yeah, I was about to say I was about to say this list kind of cheats by using characters that are adaptations of older stuff.
Yeah. But I never got DuckTales. Again, this is partly due to me not watching it as a kid.
It was just a bit before your time, yeah.
Going back to watch it now, I don't get it personally. I don't.
The thing I liked about DuckTales was, unlike a lot of shows today, it didn't rely on things like pop culture references or trying to cram in jokes every 6 seconds. It focused on telling stories and characters, and you can argue that by television standards today, the characters are kind of flat. I mean, Huey, Dewey, and Louie are essentially one character. There's no difference between them. But Scrooge, as a character in that show, he was just like this lovable, grumpy old greedy fuck. And it was I mean, there's an episode of DuckTales where basically his gas stations have run out of oil, so he has to go to his oil drilling site to inspect the oil. It's like, what fucking 6-year-old gives a shit about that?
I was just thinking, like, as you said, lovable, grumpy, greedy old fuck. That's the kind of character that you only see in adult shows these days. Like, they don't do that in kids shows. One, because parents would gripe at them for it not being morally sound or whatever, and two, because adults just find that stuff funnier than kids.
I mean, Scrooge McDuck is pretty much just if Mr. Burns was a good guy. That's pretty much who Scrooge McDuck is. with a badass pogo stick, and he can swim through fucking gold coins. Scrooge McDuck is a badass.
Yeah.
Went to the moon to look for money.
Oh man. Number 21, Brack, Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Now, I actually stayed up late enough at night sometimes to actually watch Space Ghost Coast to Coast, so I remember this guy.
I don't.
Hello there, Thundercleese.
I've never seen this before, so.
All right. I'm in a similar vein with Lewis.
I'm similar as Lewis as well.
I did watch Space Ghost Coast to Coast as early as the mid-'90s. Didn't get a whole lot of it because I didn't get it.
Yeah, it's basically a cartoon talk show.
Yeah. But damn, did I love it during college. Because now I was starting to get it all.
Yeah, it was an Adult Swim show for a reason.
But that said, Brack didn't like the spin-off series he got.
The Brack Show?
Because Brack is great when he can bounce off Space Ghosts.
And Zorak, yeah.
And Zorak.
The thing to know about
And Moltar.
The thing to know about Space Ghost for the uninitiated is that Space Ghost was originally a 1966 cartoon. Space Ghost Coast to Coast was a comedic spin-off of that old 1966 cartoon.
Yep.
We're just getting a comic reboot.
I have no idea who in their right mind decided to take a 1966 superhero cartoon and turn it into a comedy talk show, but it was a brilliant idea in this case. Brack was one of the villains back then, but we're finally getting into some TMNT at number 20, Raphael.
Okay, all the Sailor Scouts have to be one, but all the Ninja Turtles get their own spots. Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna say
and the original TMNT show is from the 80s.
Yeah, I would say that the original TMNT is mostly an 80s show as opposed to a 90s show.
No, Ted. It ran for 10 years. It actually ran well into the 90s.
Yeah, but it didn't start in like late '89 or something. It was clearly an 80s show.
It started in '87, and I think it ran to 90. It technically spent most of its runtime in the 90s, but yes, it is.
Yeah.
Most people view it as a product of the 80s versus the 90s.
At the same time, most of the people who gush nostalgic over it watched it during the 90s, from what I've seen.
I will debate that because, again, like they just said, people know this mostly as an 80s show. If they're thinking 90s Turtles, it's most likely the films, not necessarily this cartoon.
Which it's weird. Raphael is a He's in kind of an odd. He's the most changed from the book. I mean,
Ted, what did you want to say?
I don't get the turtles. I don't. Like, I know I grew up in that time spot between the '80s show and the 2000s show, and I wasn't young enough for either. But I don't get it. What makes them so cool? Like,
I recommend, okay, just not touching the live action movies or the cartoons, and going back to no, not yet. Let me finish. Not touching that stuff yet.
You shut your fucking hole!
What? Who are you?
First, going back and reading the original comics, and then going to watch the cartoon and the movie and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Read the original comics first, because at this point, I think that holds up better than the other stuff.
I did debate the original Mirage stuff. It's good. It's weird. I mean, it's to go.
It's weird in a way.
It's weird. It's weird because like a lot of people. There's a common theme of the turtles going into space, and some fans don't like that. But again, if you go back to the Mirage books, by issue 3, they're in space already,
fighting against alien
triceratons. They're fighting against the Triceratops army. So like, Ninja Turtles is one of my all-time favorite I fucking love this franchise. I love these characters. Again, Raphael's an odd choice because most people would know him as the violent one. But I guess that they couldn't do that in the context of this show, so he became kind of more sarcastic. Yeah, it was weird. If you go back and watch the original 5-part miniseries, there's hints of Raphael being the most aggressive. There's a few little moments like he's always threatening people to get out of his face before he like smacks them and knocks them out. There's a few hints of it, but they kind of turned him into a wimp as the series progressed.
Yeah, because children's cartoon, you gotta be good role models, you know.
You do. Well, I mean, there's an episode where Shredder uses mind control to make turtles fight each other, and Donatello calls Raphael a wimp, which would never happen in any other version of the Ninja Turtles ever.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with this. I think again, if I'm being honest, I think for this version of Raphael, maybe 20 is a bit too high. But I love the Turtles and Rob Paulsen, fucking amazing work as Raphael. I'm happy with this.
He's Donatello currently.
He's the Donatello in the current Nickelodeon show, which again, awesome. I love Rob Paulsen. Fucking love Ash. Hook us up with your dad with big fans.
Now this is bullshit. They'll have Raphael have his own spot at number 20, but number 19, all 3 Powerpuff Girls have to share one spot. Yeah, okay.
Well, this list is sexist. Here's every single fucking member of the fucking DuckTales clan. We'll put the Sailor Scouts as 1. We'll put the Powerpuff Girls as 1.
Yeah.
They still outranked Mojo Jojo though. So.
Well, at the same time, I wouldn't say the Powerpuff Girls and the Sailor Scouts are on equal footing in terms of sharing the same spot.
No, each one is distinct. Which one was your favorite out of the 3? I have a hard time. Probably Buttercup for me was my favorite.
I bounce back between Buttercup and Bubbles. I don't think anyone really likes Blossom that much.
Oh, because Blossom's the leader,
Blossom's boring.
She's the Leonardo.
I was actually waiting for a femto second of silence, so I could say Blossom was my favorite.
Oh,
get the fuck out of here, Lewis.
Well, okay. Well, as the odd one out, like what did you see in Blossom that you didn't get from Bubbles or Buttercup?
Actually, it was because she was the leader in a weird way. The pin that held the team together in a way.
I'm pretty sure they did have an episode where Blossom wasn't around and Buttercup and Bubbles couldn't get anything done.
Yeah. Because, Buttercup. Which one's which of the other 2?
Buttercup's the green one.
Buttercup is green, and she is essentially the Raphael.
Yeah. It's like you got the Raphael, and then you got the super cute, cuddly one, and Blossom is the level-headed one that sort of balances the other 2 out.
What about you, Ryan?
I generally preferred Buttercup because I think she wasn't quite as. I don't want to say Bubbles was dumb, but she had her smart moments, but she acted the most cartoonish.
By the way, okay, reading the description of the Powerpuff Girls on the stop popping up pop-up ads IGN. God damn, I I hate ads that pop up in the same tab. It's fucking obnoxious. But okay, Blossom, Butters, and Buttercup.
Butters. I want this. I want
Butters. That's me.
Guys, I want forget the new Powerpuff Girls reboot. Give us Blossom, Buttercup, and Butters from South Park in Bubbles uniform fighting. Oh jeez, I better go ask my dad.
Oh, I just jumped ahead to number 18.
Wait, we're not done
Go
with
back,
Powerpuff
go back.
yet.
Yeah, I know, but I think you guys are gonna like this one.
Yeah. So, new show coming out. Yay.
I wasn't sure how the animation looks okay.
At least they look the same.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about the Buttercup's new voice though.
Well, here's my question. Okay, is the creative team, does it include any of the same people?
I'd have to look it up.
Well, if it doesn't,
I'm not
really
sure.
interested because anyone can do a Powerpuff Girls thing. But
Well, it certainly looks better than the anime.
I'll give it a chance.
Well, it's weird because I think it can't be worse than that fucking Dance Revolution special they did.
What about the anime, Gareth? What about the anime?
I never watched the anime, but that Dance Revolution episode was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. It was fucking
One of my
horrible.
favorite episodes about Powerpuff Girls was the one where the mayor was just playing Ocarina of Time and he kept on slamming Lincoln.
Don
Stupid,
Fairy.
You've killed your fairy.
stupid fairy.
But just to close it off, I've seen the trailer for the new show. I'm gonna give it a shot. I was a pretty big Powerpuff Girls fan.
It was great. Powerpuff Girls was an amazing. It was one of the only kid shows to actively show blood.
Yeah.
When people would get him, in the opening show, Buttercup kicks him in the face and his teeth and blood go everywhere.
And I love the end credits theme. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I never really heard it because cartoons did that thing where they'd start showing the credits and then they'd pull squish them to the sides. It's coming up next, it's another episode of Johnny Bravo and things like that. So I don't even remember it.
yeah.
Don't listen to the movie version. The TV show version is a lot better.
Yeah.
The movie version is way too quick. I can't hear what the fuck they're saying.
Okay.
All right. So number 18 is Gambit of
Oh
X-Men.
yeah, my boy Gambit.
I think we already blew our Gambit
Gambit
load a little bit early.
Yeah,
but
my bad.
just
Sorry about that. That was my
Our
fault.
kinetically charged load.
Just as a refresher for those who aren't X-Men savvy or Marvel savvy, Gambit is a mutant with the ability to charge objects with kinetic energy and throw them, whereby they explode on impact. So obviously, what he does is the logical thing. He keeps a lightweight pack of not trading cards. That would have been a waste of trading
Of
cards.
Pokemon trading cards.
Like poker cards and stuff, and he uses them as ammunition. He charges them up and throws them Seto Kaiba style.
I summon Get Fucked and attack.
he has a stick too. Which
Go
he whacks
shiny
people with.
Charizard!
Yeah. But, the fact that he uses cards is entirely an affectation because his mutant power allows him to charge any object he can hold with that kinetic energy, so he could just throw a pencil at you for the same effect.
Yeah, but the cards are cool, dude. The cards are fucking cool.
Yeah. I believe in the current Marvel canon, Gambit isn't actually part of the X-Men anymore.
Oh no, he was. I don't think he was ever really a main. He was just a mutant that was kind of around, as far as I
well,
could
he
tell.
was with the X-Men.
Gambit was always he kind of blurred the line between hero and villain sometimes. He was occasionally he's often portrayed as a thief.
Yeah, he would steal shit and get in
yeah.
Wolverine's way and things like that a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a cool character. I just again, not
My
being
favorite
a huge
X-Men.
X-Men fan, I've never really had a lot of time with him. So
Yeah. Well, I appreciate a character like Gambit because, that problem comic book heroes have sometimes where the powers are more interesting than the person attached to them. Marvel is always good at not falling into that trap, and Gambit is another example.
yeah, people probably remember Gambit the suave Creole voice and all of that before they remember. Oh yeah, he throws cards at people and things like that. So anyway,
Moving on to number 17 is a show me and most people I know really didn't care for. Doug Funny.
oh, Doug is so boring. What the hell is this doing in the top
Get the
20?
fuck out of here with this
You
shit.
know what? To me, Doug was like Hey Arnold prototype.
Yeah, but if you're gonna have
But the problem with Doug was that none of the characters were interesting.
Well, the thing is, I will, maybe because I'm too young to remember each episode individually, I remember enjoying Doug.
Yeah.
More accurately, Nickelodeon's Doug, because I
Yeah.
did not care for Disney's Doug.
Although, Johnny, I will say Disney's Doug does have a scene where Doug explains sex to his father, which is fucking amazing.
That's okay.
My thing is, it's like I don't hate Doug. I know a lot of people like to say it was terrible, but I actually enjoyed Disney's Doug. But as Ted said, Doug as a character is like the character equivalent of fucking bread. He's just fucking.
I don't
Doug.
get why he's here and like Hey Arnold's in the 40s or wherever the hell he was.
Again, Optimus Primal's 88. Get the fuck out of here with this list. It's terrible.
Doug is actually a character that it's kind of complicated because it says here he was a book character. Then he was with Nickelodeon, and then he aired on ABC, which I suppose is the Disney period.
Yeah, Disney owns ABC.
Yeah.
Disney's Doug.
So we're actually talking about a character that's been passed between 3 different creative minds.
Yeah, but I didn't like him in any of them.
No, Lewis, it was the same production company worked on both shows. They just revamped it for Disney, but it was the same creative team, with the exception of the voice. Doug was originally voiced by Billy West, but Billy West has gone on record saying that Doug was one of the most boring characters he's ever voiced. And so when they brought it back for Disney's Doug, he was like, "There's nothing new I can bring to this," so he actually declined to return. She was like, "Nah, that show's kind of boring."
I think it was supposed to be an alternative for the other cartoons you watched during that time. You had zaniness in Rugrats because of the adventures they get into as babies. You had Ren and Stimpy, of course, which is like the total fucking extreme opposite of that parameter. And then you had Doug, who was, for better or worse, very safe.
Very safe, sane, calm,
yeah,
tranquil. Not stuff you usually associate with 90s cartoons, but there you go.
Depending on what you look for in a cartoon, it could either be something to just escape into, or it's really fucking boring. Where's Ren and Stimpy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I can see the appeal of it. And, for what it's worth, I watched some of Doug, and I kind of enjoyed it while I was watching it. Like, it's not something I would have gone back to, like, out of my way, but...
It's a fine show. It's just him as a character does not deserve to be this high on a list of best characters.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Because kind of like Hey Arnold, I would say Doug has a bit more to him than Doug is more flawed than Arnold is. He's not the perfect character of Arnold, but still, I would have put someone like Mr. Dink is better than Doug. Or like Skeeter Valentine. There's as a character,
Mosquito Valentino.
Doug does not deserve to be 17 on this list.
Yeah, maybe Doug deserves more of an honorable mention. But then again, maybe whoever put this list together just appreciated the calmer stuff. I don't know.
Was drunk.
Doug can't throw a spirit bomb at Frieza, so that makes him worse than Goku. Okay.
Let's just move on.
Number 16. Dang it, Bobby.
I'm okay, Dad.
Okay. Okay. I wish TJ was here because TJ does the best impression of season 1 Bobby Hill when he was a lot more like no emotion, and most of his dialogue was just okay. Like every episode, he would just be like, okay.
That's my person. I don't know you.
I don't know you. I fucking love Bobby Hill. Like one of my favorite. The thing about the King of the Hill kids, especially in the earlier seasons, was that like the Simpsons and like they were great shows, but the King of the Hill, the kids felt more real, actual kids you might know. And so I think Bobby Hill is one of the. I mean, it's like Robert Englund, the man who plays Freddy Krueger, has said one of his most favorite characters in fiction is Bobby Hill, which just shows you that how good this cat. Like Freddy Krueger fucking likes Bobby Hill, which is fantastic.
That's one kid he won't invade in the Nightmare Zone. He just likes the character that much.
Great character, great fucking character.
But you know what though, I watched King of the Hill for Hank, not so much Bobby. I enjoyed the parts where Bobby was in, and I laughed at them, but primarily I watched it for Hank.
You know what's weird though? I kind of have, as a kid, I watched it for Hank, but as an adult, I watch it more for Bobby.
Oh, okay.
Which is weird.
Buff, wax, varnish, buff, buff, buff.
Buff, buff, buff.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we done with Bobby?
Bobby, yeah.
Okay.
Number 15 is
Bobby?
Ren. Oh, Ren. I've got a surprise for you.
Number 15 is Stimpy from the Ren and Stimpy show.
Stimson J Cat.
Again, like, what is the reasoning for putting Stimpy above Ren?
No, Ren is later on.
I know, but sorry. What's their?
We have had a Ren, but it was a different Ren, and it wasn't Kylo Ren either.
Maybe I would watch Pirates of Dark Water if it was the same Ren as a pirate captain.
Okay,
you idiot! Walk the plank.
Sorry, my bad. Well, why put Stimpy behind Ren? Shit! You know what I'm saying?
Stop talking about Kylo Ren.
I think it was like the Bollywood equivalent.
Ben and Stumpo, I'd watch that show.
No, it's Ben Solo.
Ben Solo. Stimpy's a great character. He's funny. He's a great character. I love him.
He pushed
Ren and Stimpy were just like the '90s edgy Tom and Jerry.
Acid trip, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, and I haven't watched Ren and Stimpy in so long, but
I don't
clearly remember something.
I don't know how much I haven't watched it in forever either, so I'm not sure how well it holds up. Actually,
it's Ren and Stimpy. I would say if you go back and because I have a lot of the early shows on DVD. It's kind of hit and miss. Like there's episodes like Space Madness, which is still like one of the greatest fucking things ever made.
The history eraser button.
Yeah, exactly. But like you get a bunch of episodes just suck. Like a bunch of like it's I guess it's dependent on who is in charge of the episodes, but it's very hit and miss, and sometimes like they kind of act out of character in certain episodes.
Yeah,
depending again who's in charge, but it's a show that I would say it does hit more than it misses, but it's still like it doesn't. It's not like a Animaniacs where like every episode is still pretty much gold.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it also gave us Happy Happy Joy Joy.
Me and my sister used to do that dance like all the time when we were kids.
What about Butter Toast Man? No, Powder Toast
Man.
Powder
Toast. Well, that's one of my favorite, one of the funniest gags ever. It's an episode of Powdered Toast Man, and he goes to the White House, and it's just, "What's wrong, Mr. President?" "Powdered Toast Man, I'm caught in my own zipper." The president looking very in pain, it's like Powdered Toast Man, like it does, pulls there's something about Mary and just like unzips him when he's caught on himself. It's so fucked up.
But I think Stimpy is one of those characters that needs Ren.
Oh, yes,
really
yes.
Because individually, I don't think it's very interesting. Because I remember one of the episodes, just to close this off, was like one of Stimpy's farts is trying to get back inside his ass.
Son of Stimpy. Yeah.
I was like, okay. Like even as a kid, I didn't find that really funny, and I like it when he's with Ren, not so much as a character by himself.
Yeah, yeah, they're a duo. They need to work as a duo.
It's the Ren and Stimpy show.
Yeah.
So.
All right, then number 14 is the Batman animated series version of the Joker, and bullet point number 1 is, of course, Mark Hamill became the unequivocal voice of the Joker in the animated series. Bullet point 2 is actually surprising. Tim Curry was originally going to play the part of the Joker.
He did. Tim Curry recorded some episodes, but it was after reflection. They said it was too scary.
Oh.
I saw it. That scared my child.
Yeah, which is like I don't think they've ever released those tapes, but I'd love to fucking hear Tim Curry's take on the Joker.
Yeah,
it sounds amazing. But I'm surprised it's only 14. I thought he'd make at least the top 10. But this Joker is up there with
it's the Joker to most people.
Yeah, it's like I would say like this is like if you like my 3 favorite Jokers are this, Heath Ledger, and Joker from Killing Joke. Like 3 of my favorite Jokers ever.
Here's my thing about this Joker though. Okay, as a character, just taking into account his character, he's not particularly spectacular. It's his voice and performance and animation that really makes him. So it's more his portrayal than his actual part in the story, unlike, say, Mr. Freeze.
I agree with Lewis, and I know I'm gonna like get called out for hating Batman.
Hold on, wait. I want to hear more from the Velociraptor.
Barring certain episodes where he it sort of shined a little bit more on his own merits. But I for the most part, like when I see the Joker on screen, I just find him amusing to be on screen, not particularly anything specific that he's doing. Far more interesting in terms of story was actually Harley Quinn.
We'll get to her later.
You know what? I would say the Joker, this version of the Joker in particular, was better in the movies, like Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah. Mask of the Phantasm's amazing.
Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman movie, bar none. But Lewis, I want to go back in terms of your comparison to Mr. Freeze. Again, I would say that in terms of Mr. Freeze has more pathos. He is more. There's more of a story to him.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I agree. And again, like Joker had Mr. Freeze, if we were talking about just the first 65 episodes, the original run of the show, Mr. Freeze had 2 episodes. I think Joker had at least like something like 10. So yes, and not all of them work. But Joker is one of the earliest instances I can remember of being actively like the episode The Laughing Fish.
Oh yeah.
That's fucking scary. Some of his shots.
Clown.
Yeah.
Some of his shots are some of his angles are fucking scary.
Yeah, and a lot of that though does come down to the performance. Like you can watch videos on YouTube talking about how Mark Hamill played the Joker during the cartoon, and the way he talked and acted out while doing the performance, his physical acting, which in some part informed the way he was animated in the show as well.
Yeah, it's to a point where when I think of Mark Hamill, I think Joker first. Luke Skywalker second.
Yep. I would say though, in terms of probably my favorite scene involving the Joker, it's from the episode The Man Who Killed Batman, and the basic plot is
they
like
do a funeral for him.
Yeah, basically the basic plot is like this kind of Batman's kind of breaking up this kind of robbery, and this kind of like low level schmuck like knocks Batman off a roof, and everyone thinks he's dead, and the Joker summons this man to come to him. He's like, this is the man who beat Batman, and he's giving this funeral for Batman. He's saying like, how life has no meaning now, and he blames the schmuck for killing Batman, puts him into a coffin, and drops him into a vat of acid. And there's a moment where the Joker's just kind of crying for a moment and goes, "Well, that was fun. Who wants Chinese?" Just like such a he would his emotions. He was kind of like Homer Simpson. His emotions would swing on a dime. And I love that about this version of the Joker. I can kind of see where you're coming from, Lewis, but I don't agree with you, and I fucking hate you.
Okay, I'm gonna be a sourpuss here. I don't like the Joker. I've never really liked the Joker. I just don't.
Marvel fanboy.
Yeah, okay, you can throw that out there. All right, you can.
Dude, I'm just joking.
Batman and Superman's going to be too long. The movie's instantly bad.
At the risk of extending this by like 50 minutes. What do you see in Deadpool?
Oh, well, I'm not the hugest fan of Deadpool, but Deadpool also... Okay, like, Deadpool, I think, works more as a side character than as his own character, because the joke wears thin. But I don't feel like the Joker is a particularly well-developed villain, I think. I think that he's just crazy to be crazy, and then he does stuff. And, that's fine, it works, but when Batman, I don't think that I don't find him interesting, personally. You put me on the spot here. I don't have a good argument prepared, but I just don't find him interesting.
If I can cut in, I'd say, my issue with the Joker in the animated series kind of extends to everything he's ever in, because a lot of what makes the Joker go, because he's not all that well developed, because a lot of his background is intentionally shrouded in mystery. In fact, even in The Killing Joke, the writers didn't want to reveal his backstory.
That pissed me off in The Killing Joke. You have, like, half of the book is this backstory for the Joker, and then they're like, oh, no, it might not be real. What's the point of showing?
No.
Oh, no, Jimmy, did DC have said? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say in The Killing Joke, the reason for that, and this was explained in like the afterword. But the writers didn't want to explain his backstory, but the people who decided to have The Killing Joke happen wanted a backstory for the Joker, so they kind of met it halfway by saying, maybe that's not my backstory, maybe I'm just crazy and remembering wrong, but because the Joker is so much a mystery thing, in a completely different way, but much like Darth Vader, a lot of it comes down to his presence, which
Yes.
in the end, a lot of the time is entirely on the performance or the art or the presentation of a given comic. It's making him stick out on the page or on the
Yeah.
screen.
You know, I never had a fear of clowns, but I'm fucking terrified of Joker. Like
Yeah.
when they use him right.
Yeah. But, you know, that also means that there's not really much to think about when it comes to the Joker as a character. And to some people, that can make him less interesting.
Also, DC sucks and it's terrible. What kind of stupid comic company names their company DC Comics when DC stands for Detective Comics? What are you, stupid? Anyway.
What's so marvelous about radioactive mutants?
Okay, number 13 is Butthead. Ryan, you read the whole thing. Is Beavis on the list?
Yes.
What the? Why separate Beavis and Butthead, but have the Powerpuff Girls be one? God, this list is dumb.
Again, this list is sexist. They're grouping all the girl characters together, but giving the male ones.
We were talking about this earlier. I don't like Beavis and Butthead very much. They're just kind of like
Neither do I.
Well, to be fair, Beavis and Butthead are relics of the 90s.
Yeah. They brought them back in 2013.
And it didn't work in the slightest.
It didn't work in the slightest.
It doesn't. No, I mean, I think it's they're a perfect time bubble of the 90s, and I love them. Again, I can still go back and watch some of their stuff, but yeah, it is a concept and an idea that should stay in the 90s where it belongs.
Would you say like it like that other show? What's her name? I've heard
Daria?
Yeah. Would you say she holds
Daria?
up better than?
Oh,
Beavis
yeah.
and Butthead?
Yes, because Daria is more about actual characters, and it's kind of like a soap opera is not the right word, but it's kind of like there's stories and character progressions. Beavis and Butthead, it's kind of like a more adult, something like SpongeBob SquarePants, where it's very episodic and it's just kind of weird, crazy shit happening. But a lot of the references and a lot of the kind of humor is very 90-ish. It's very like of the 90s.
Yeah.
Which you know, some things hold up. I mean, again, my favorite cinematic line of all time comes from Beavis and Butthead Do America, and it's from Butthead when they're walking across the desert. And it keeps getting hotter and hotter, and it ends with they're crawling on the ground to try and get across the desert. And Butthead just looks up at the sun and just goes, "The sun sucks." It's like my favorite line of all time. You know, like, so again, I'm like Ted. I am surprised that they're separated. I'm also surprised that if they're both on the list, how high they are. But you know, again, they are a product of the 90s, but they are animation 90s icons. So of course they were going to be on this list.
Yeah, well, being on the list isn't surprising, but you'd think they'd keep the timeless stuff for the upper parts of the list, and the more, you know, product of the age stuff for the lower end.
Yeah.
Oh well. Number 12, speaking of products of the age, it's Space Ghost from Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Of this particular incarnation, because I think Space Ghost was originally a 60s cartoon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he's getting
yeah.
He's getting a comic reboot later this year.
Oh,
what
okay,
is it? Is
okay.
the comic based off the original show or Space Ghost Ghost?
Yeah, it's based on him like having space adventures and stuff.
Ah.
Yeah.
They should make a comic of him as just a talk show host.
I love this picture, by the way. It's Space Ghost at his desk, looking at a screen with a live-action dog on it, which just sums up the show so perfectly.
Again, a show I didn't really get in the mid '90s, but I grew to love during college.
I've never really watched it. I've seen like the odd episode, but I want to
But you see,
find
the
it
thing
and watch
is
it.
that I don't even watch it just because of like Space Ghost's interaction with whatever celebrity he's interviewing. It's just the dichotomy between him, Zorak, Brack, and Moltar.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that Space Ghost is a talk show host is just amazing on its own, you know.
Yeah. That brings up a piece of somewhat unrelated trivia, but when Toonami first appeared, before Tom was introduced as
It was Maltar, yeah.
Yeah, it was Moltar, a CG Moltar. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Also, wanted in terms of the Space Ghost. I mean, the picture we're looking at. To tie it back into another character, but Bruce Timm's Batman from the animated series. It is Space Ghost.
Yeah, there's a
like,
joke
look
picture online where Batman's getting in his cowl is getting a haircut to clip the ears off, and he becomes Space Ghost.
Space Ghost, yeah. I mean, we have Space Ghost as a character to thank for the visual flair of the '90s Batman show, and for that reason alone, Space Ghost is an amazing character.
I like his design, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very simple design, and sometimes simplicity works.
I think he needed some sort of shoe wear though, because that shit's almost close to pajama onesies.
Well, it is weird. I'm looking at it. It looks like Matt Groening stole Space Ghost's wrist thing for Lita in Futurama. That looks just like Lita's hand thing. It's amazing.
Yeah. All right, number 11 is Wolverine.
Have you guys ever seen the online skit where Xavier fires Wolverine from the X-Men because he's useless?
He can't do jack shit against Magneto, so...
Well, yeah, but that's true, but he's also like a petty little douchebag who will like go off on his motorcycle at the moment's notice. It's like, Wolverine, you could help. Nah, I gotta find out my dark and tortured past, man.
All right, here's my problem with Wolverine in general, okay? It's because they keep pushing Wolverine into all the X-Men related shit, but they keep pushing Magneto into all the X-Men related shit. So the most popular character, because they keep pushing Magneto in, also becomes the useless one.
It's, Magneto, if he's feeling nice, in any fight could just pin Wolverine to a wall and he's useless. If Magneto was in a bad mood, he could, rip Wolverine's arm off, and it might grow back, because healing factor, but it depends on what continuity you're in.
Wolverine doesn't have healing factor right now, last I checked.
Oh, God, he'll get it back.
Wasn't there a plot where Magneto ripped the adamantium from?
Oh yeah, and then he had bone claws, which is God.
That was dumb.
Yeah,
and Wolverine went all animalistic and growly and non-subhuman something.
When it's weird because Wolverine's probably one of the most popular Marvel characters, but I've never really cared too much about him.
It's weird because for a while he was basically Marvel's Batman for a good decade and a half.
Yeah, but Marvel doesn't need a Batman; they can just have their own characters.
Yeah, that's what they didn't get until recently.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because he was. In terms, there was a kind of the '90s had this kind of running theme of Marvel would randomly put Wolverine on the covers of books, even if he wasn't in the story, just because Wolverine would sell. And so there was a big thing of Wolverine. It was kind of like he was like Deadpool is now, that they milked, as Ryan said, they milked the fuck out of him in the '90s. And one thing I will say about this is that I know everyone loves Steve Bloom, but Cal Dodd. This is when I think of... It's like how when you think of the Joker, you hear Mark Hamill. When I think of Wolverine, I hear Cal Dodd.
Wow, what a coincidence. When I think of Wolverine, I think Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman is a great Wolverine, but his voice doesn't scream Wolverine to me. But
he doesn't have that sort of bub way of saying things.
Again, Cal Dodd was fucking perfect. That voice was just so... I mean, I love it. In the first episode where they try to break into that place to get Beast out, and they think they've lost Morph, and they just come back, and Wolverine just fucking uses his claws to take the top of Cyclops' car, and as he's driving away, he goes, "Tell Cyclops I made him a convertible." It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he did that. That was one of the earliest moments in the cartoon.
That was like the first episode he does that.
You know what? Those are Wolverine's most brilliant moments, but that sort of underlines what Wolverine is best at. Just being Wolverine and not trying to be some icon for the Marvel universe, because that's
if in any story where Wolverine becomes the leader of the X-Men, he's terrible at it. Cyclops is a boring asshole, but he can get stuff done, and Wolverine really can't. So
which is why I never really cared for Wolverine and the
X-Men.
It's
a pretty lackluster show, yeah.
Because again, like a lot of characters, Wolverine again. The movies would tell you otherwise, but Wolverine works best in a ensemble piece, not as the main character.
Yes, I would. Have you ever read Joss Whedon's run on? I think it's Astonishing X-Men.
I've seen the first few parts of the animated comic book they did.
It's a really good. It's a really fun, really good run. And Wolverine's actually done pretty well in that, I think. So,
I'm not saying. I'm not. I'm not saying that Wolverine can't be the main character.
Oh no, he's not the main character. That's the thing. Like one of my favorite lines is he's upset. He's upset because I think Kitty Pryde dies at the end, and a new character they brought in says, "Can I help you?" And he goes, "Are you a beer?" So.
Can I drink you, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wolverine is not very good as the main character in a general story sense. When a story is focused on like him, his backstory, or his own character development, then yeah, he does good. He does pretty good as a main character. Okay, X-Men Origins Wolverine was crap, but the other Wolverine movie wasn't terrible.
The Wolverine is great. The Wolverine, I think, is a good movie.
I heard that they're planning on making an R-rated Wolverine movie now because Deadpool.
Yeah, which... Well, no. Apparently, the third Wolverine movie, which is going to be Hugh Jackman's last run, it's reportedly going to be based off Old Man Logan, because I think Hugh Jackman is pushing 50,
yeah.
And apparently there was plans for it to be R-rated before Deadpool came out, but I'm sure now, thanks to the success of Deadpool, those plans are going to be R-rated now.
Wolverine kind of needs to be R-rated because those goddamn claws should not be wasted on like logs and robots. Like. They can slice shit up.
Yeah, I mean, to go off on a quick tangent, obviously, I'm sure now thanks to Deadpool, we're gonna get a slew of R-rated comic movies that don't need to be R-rated. Certain characters like Wolverine, just based on who he is and his backstory, and again, his fucking powers, he needs an R-rating to really do the character. I mean, the best parts in X-Men 2 are the bits where he's just slicing motherfuckers up, but they can't really focus on it too much to keep it PG-13. So I'm hoping. We do get some. Just give me did any of you guys play X-Men Origins Wolverine? The game.
The game.
I heard it was.
Yeah.
I've heard it was better than the movie.
Yeah.
It is because it's X-rated as fuck. The first level ends with you jumping onto a helicopter, pulling out the pilot, and decapitating him on the and there's blood everywhere.
Yeah, I think you said the wrong rating there. You said X-rated.
Oh, actually, it is.
Because he's an X-Man.
Yeah.
Get it? Like a goose.
all I have to say is that about Wolverine is like Sony's doing with Spider-Man, that Fox needs to do at least one deal with the Marvel Cinematic Universe just so we can have Hugh Jackman in the yellow spandex just once, just for
yeah,
flash.
that would be great. Like, because I like the costume and it would actually fit with Marvel. But Fox is never giving up the X-Men rights. It is never going to happen. Like
no, but just do a one movie deal so Wolverine in the spandex can appear just once. Let Hugh Jackman wear the suit just once.
Yeah, I mean, Fox might give up Fantastic Four now, or they better at least Marvel should get Doctor Doom back at the very least because I love Doctor Doom, but. Because I don't know if they can salvage the Fantastic Four after the latest terrible movie. But
No. Just get you know what? Just get Doctor Doom as a standalone. And put him in some other superhero thing because he's not just a Fantastic Four villain.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, Marvel's so bitter about that they literally canceled all the Fantastic Four books just so Mox has.
That's so dumb because the Fantastic Four is literally the starting point of the Marvel universe. Like I think like the point where the Fantastic Four decide, okay, we're going to be a team now. Is literally like Marvel Universe starts right there. Is I think.
Yeah, but Fantastic Four sucks. Who cares?
The movies are terrible.
I think. I think. Again, we're going like 17 different tangents here, but because the Fantastic Four is a product of its time, which I believe
the 60s.
The 60s.
No,
I think it was the
early
the
60s.
Yeah, 60s.
It was 60s. But the thing is that the X-Men were also created at that time as counterculture, which I think aged better in the generation.
The Fantastic Four, like in the comics, still works. It's just that it's not. You can't use them like a traditional superhero team, like going and fighting bad guys. They're more about like exploring stuff and like doing cool, fantastical science shit. That's more interesting with the Fantastic Four than them just like fighting bad guys. Because honestly, most of their powers are pretty lame. So it's more about the adventure.
There's no way you can make stretchy powers look cool on screen.
Yeah.
No. You know what? Stretchy powers. Okay. Mr. Fantastic wrote the book on those, but Miss Marvel currently has better stretchy powers than he does because she can make her parts of her body like really huge.
Yeah, embiggen. I love Kamala Khan.
Or she can also shrink as well. So.
And at least Plastic Man's funny.
Alright, before we go off on 12 more Marvel tangents, number
Fuck you,
10.
Wolverine.
Number 10 is Sailor
She
Moon's
is the
solo
one
debut.
named Sailor
Get
Moon.
the fuck out of here.
Sailor Moon isn't better than
with
Goku.
this shit.
Okay, you know what? If I were gonna pick a single Sailor Scout to put on this
Mercury.
list, I'm not sure which one it would be, but it wouldn't be Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon's the worst
Because
She's so
character.
fucking annoying.
Sailor Moon.
She's inept as hell, and not in the interesting character way, you know? More in the way that they make her clumsy and stupid because they think it's cute. Which is different than it actually being a legitimate character flaw, you know what I mean?
She's a boring character, and I hate
Do
her.
you like her more or less than Tuxedo Mask?
No character that's ever been created is as bad as Tuxedo Mask. He is literally the lowest of the low in terms of bad characters.
Well, his deep dub voice is going to a convention I'm going to, so I'll be sure to get an autograph for you, Gareth.
Oh god, kill me now.
Okay, well, since we're done with Sailor Moon, I guess number 9 is Ren. Oh, it's Ren. Okay.
You idiot! I shall
Well,
kill you.
I saw his last name, which is like, oh god, there's an umlaut. Olek.
It's
I don't remember them ever giving him a last name, so I was like, what the? And then,
Oh yeah, all the time.
well, Ren and Stimpy was a little bit before my time. They stopped really showing reruns of that by the time I was watching Nickelodeon on a daily basis. So,
Yeah, Ren is a fucked up character.
That show was fucked up in general.
Yeah, I remember I was at some points there's an episode where called Ren's Brain, where like Stimpy is performing surgery on Ren, and like I was, my dad turned it off because it was freaking my sister out. We weren't allowed to watch it 'cause it's so fucked up.
Oh, man. I haven't watched Ren and Stimpy in well over a decade now, but I do remember something Ren and Stimpy like. I think maybe the writers or the animators or someone related to the Ren and Stimpy show did writing or animation or something for the cutscenes in Crash Twin Sanity.
It was the writers,
And
I
those-
think.
Yeah, and those cutscenes are fucking hilarious. Like
They're great.
Like if there's
They're so funny.
if there's any game that is a perfect example of where the story direction in the Crash Bandicoot series should go, it's Crash Twin Sanity.
okay then.
Again, they need to be a pair for it to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of solo Ren, my favorite Ren joke is when Stimpy has a fan club, and Ren feels left out, so Stimpy says he'll make him president of the fan club, and Ren has this fantasy where he's like in the White House at this big desk on a phone going, "What do you mean you don't agree with me? I am the president!" And he just kind of slams this big red button, and like a fucking third of the earth just explodes, and then it just cuts to him insanely laughing. It's like, it was so good. I will say, just as a quick aside about Ren and Stimpy, ignore the adult party cartoons.
I gave that a chance.
What are those?
They're so fucking bad. The adult parties, Ren and Stimpy was in like the early 90s, and then I think in the early 2000s, the Spike TV came to John Christopher Lucci and offered to bring back the show in a more adult way. And so I mean they do things where like there's nudity, there's bad language, there's violence, that they openly have Ren and Stimpy be gay and have implied sex scenes, and it's Billy West did not return for that, and it's weird because he said Stimpy is one of Billy West's best characters, and also after John Christopher Lucci was actually fired from the show, who voiced Ren and was the creator, and Billy West started voicing Ren. But when they were doing the adults party cartoons, Billy West, I believe he read some scripts, and he was like, "This shit it's so vile for the sake of vile that he thought it would harm his career if he voiced Stimpy in the adult party cartoons." Wow. They're adults for the sake of being adult,
So
and it's
by
not worth
adult,
it.
you mean 12-year-old?
Yeah, adult in the same way that Spawn is an adult comic book.
No, I mean, Spawn is aggressively violent, but it doesn't have stuff where like Ren is cutting a log and Stimpy has the log on his ass, and the way it's shot, it looks like Ren is
Giving
having
him
sex with Stimpy.
intercourse.
Yeah, and it's just shit like that. It's just like, oh, like what, seriously, like what are you, 12? Like seriously.
I know it's a different type, but it's the same kind of immature. Look, we can make sex jokes. Look, we see blood. That makes me a grown up kind of thing.
I get where you're coming from, but it's the Ren and Stimpy, the juvenile humor comes off more pathetic than just violence for the sake of violence.
Okay.
I think.
Well, violence for the sake of violence is what we call Mortal Kombat. So, and nobody complains about that. But
Well, nobody complains about it because it's totally aware of itself.
well, yeah, but that they also just like the fatalities, you know. Number 8, though, moving on, is Batman from the animated
Batman.
series.
Fucking yes.
You already
Fucking
know
yes.
what I think
Kevin-
about Batman, so I'll just let you
Yes,
guys.
shut up, Ted.
Okay.
At the
Yeah,
same
shut up.
time, I'm going to say that next to the '89 movie, I would say this version of Batman is probably the most balanced between development, grim darkiness, and actually being kind of a likable character. Whereas everything else he sort of just he's either like extremely camp or sociopathic superhero vigilante who takes kids and trains them and turns them into other vigilantes.
Well, can I ask you? You said compare it to '89, like
Yeah, 89 is a terrible Batman.
Yeah, I was gonna-
No, did I say '89?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you said 89.
Because I love the '89 film, but Bruce Wayne is not one of the reasons.
Batman. I'm not a fan of the '89 movie, but like I get why people like it. But that Batman in '89 is possibly the worst Batman of all
Dude,
time.
there are a lot
He
of
is
bad
a terrible
Batmans,
Batman.
though.
Shut up,
No, no.
Ted.
Yes, but
Okay,
Batman and
George
Ted.
Clooney. All right, okay.
I know. You said you'd shut up, though, so shut up, Ted.
Ted. I'll say George Clooney's Batman actively fights crime. Michael Keaton in Batman '89, oftentimes he murders people and he lets muggers get away. Two things Batman would never do. '89, he's a terrible Batman.
What I meant was more in terms of tone rather than anything else.
Oh, okay. Well, in tone, I would agree, but to me, this is the Batman.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, well, this is the one that I think of most when I think of Batman. It's just it bothers me that as much as I like the Nolan films, except for the third one. The third one is ass. But the way Batman is portrayed, when he's not making a ridiculous growly voice at the camera trying to intimidate someone by being the least intimidating thing ever, someone is psychoanalyzing him out loud through dialogue.
What do you mean, brother?
And you know what? That kind of thing is almost as bad to me as all the ridiculously over the top quote unquote adult jokes in the adult party Ren and Stimpy stuff. Because we get it. You've got deep moral implications to your work. You don't need to spell them out to make yourself seem smarter. Please just stop. You got another speech for us, Alfred? No? Didn't think so.
One day, Master Wayne, I saw a ruby the size of a tangerine. Get the fuck out of it, Alfred! Okay,
But
sir,
yeah.
I will leave now.
Yeah, it's just, in terms of balance, Batman in the animated series is by far the best. He gets the tone of what he's supposed to do down without being high on himself or pushing the envelope on it,
He has the right balance of being a detective and a crime fighter, which sometimes, especially in the movies, they often forget the detective part of him.
Oh yeah, detective mode in the Dark Knight.
I would say I would add a third to that: detective, crime fighter, human being.
Yes,
Batman.
yes.
Batman isn't human. No human being
No,
can do all of the shit Batman does.
Ted.
Watch the damn series, Ted.
You have to watch the damn series.
Nah.
Again,
Yeah, Ted,
there's a
shut
reason
up.
why we keep complimenting the animated series, because it gets all that shit right. Because nowadays with Batman, he's either the detective or the crime fighter, never both, and they completely ignore every human human character trait he has, because he's supposed to be, vengeance in the night.
Which is why Dick Grayson was Batman was a lot better than Bruce Wayne Batman for the longest time now.
I mean, one thing I liked in the performance, I mean, Kevin Conroy, kind of like Mark Hamill on the Joker, Kevin Conroy is Batman.
Yeah.
I would argue, though, I think to this day, Kevin Conroy's best performance is in the animated series, because he, nowadays, towards in like later seasons of say Justice League or some of the other movies he's done, it was almost like he used the Batman voice as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Well, he reasoned that for the Justice League in that he never goes into Bruce Wayne mode with the Justice League.
Oh yeah, actually, the easiest way to see the dividing line between that actually is in the Superman cartoon, where there was a 3-part, I think, crossover between Batman and Superman.
World's Finest.
Yeah,
World's Finest.
One of the things is whenever he's talking to someone like Lois Lane, he always switches to the Bruce Wayne voice. But when he's talking to someone who knows who he is, specifically Superman, he goes he goes full Batman even when he's not wearing a costume.
Yeah.
Because it's his real
he
voice.
does. He does, but the animated series, I mean, yeah, in something like Superman, there is still that distinction, but it's not as strong. It's like as the Bruce Wayne in the animated series, it feels more like it's a character Batman puts on. Whereas in later versions, and I'm talking about specifically just ones voiced by Kevin Conroy, it's almost like that line is so close to each other. There's almost no divide.
But
So I really love that.
Very, very minute subtleties, which
Yeah. There are, I mean, I'm not trying to trash Kevin Conroy. I'm just saying that I preferred it.
I prefer it that way too, because going back to the first season of the animated series, where Bruce Wayne in particular had a very distinguishable rasp in his voice when talking as Bruce Wayne, and then when he went full out Batman mode, he didn't get like this, but he just lowered the tone.
I mean, it's funny because in the very first episode on Leather Wings, there's a moment where he's in the Batman costume, but he's speaking to someone as Bruce Wayne, and it's very fucking weird to hear be like, hey guy, I'm Bruce Wayne coming out of the Batman suit.
Yeah, and you know what's really impressive about Kevin Conroy's performance that sort of makes the Nolan films even more ridiculous by comparison is the fact that he has these two incredibly distinct voices as the same voice actor, and neither of them sounds ridiculous or unrealistic at all.
Drugs going.
There's an episode from the '60s Batman where Adam West is talking to Batman, where Bruce Wayne and Batman are talking to each other on the phone, and he's just the same voice for both Bruce Wayne and Batman.
No one bats an ear. No, bats an ear. Anyway, he's the Batman.
Yeah, he's the Batman.
Yeah.
I still say Batman's the least interesting thing in Batman, so meh.
Well, yeah.
You need to watch the end.
Nah,
Ted,
I don't care. I don't like the character. Why would I care?
Ted, just as much as you can recommend Spectacular Spider-Man, I can recommend Batman the
Yeah, but you already like Spider-Man. I don't care about Batman, so why should I watch Batman?
Here's the deal, Ted. I've technically not seen much of Spectacular Spider-Man. If you watch Batman animated series, I'll watch Spectacular Spider-Man.
That's like 4 seasons. Spectacular Spider-Man's 2. Unfair trade.
Yeah, Ryan, to be fair, Ted would have like 4 times as many episodes to watch compared to Spectacular.
First season, at least, yeah.
First season of the animated.
Nah.
Can I just say, okay, when I say that this Batman is the most balanced, I'm also comparing to the comics. Because there's a reason that the animated series influenced the comics as much, and that is in some ways that the animated series had its head on straighter than the comics of the time. Because the comics at that point, I think, were shifting. It started with the Killing Joke. I suppose it started with the Killing Joke, but they shifted a little too radically toward the dark and grim.
Well, that's because it was 90s comics. Nobody was doing anything good.
That was Dark Knight Returns.
It sort of flipped tones all the way over when the Joker cracked.
Yeah, and around the time the animated series came out, Nightfall was happening, and you had Azrael running around. It was like, ugh.
Yeah, and the animated series, in the midst of that chaos, it fixed everything that was wrong with Batman's tone.
It did its own thing. It wasn't trying to associate itself with the current comic line. Thank fucking Christ.
Yeah,
I mean, with the exception of Bane. I mean, because Bane was a product of the '90s at that time, and they brought him into the animated series very well. I add.
Yeah, although I will say though, while I'm not the biggest fan of the '89 movie, I have to give it props. Without that movie and without that movie being as successful, we would not have this show.
No,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
Yep. So I guess now that we're finally done with Batman, let's move on to number 7, which is Vegeta.
Okay, well, first off, I want to point something out. It says on one of the bullet points, one of the rare characters to traverse from antagonist to protagonist over the course of
Tien,
Dragon
Piccolo, Boo,
Yamcha. Yamcha was a bad guy.
Yamcha.
Yamcha.
Oh man.
Responsible for the "It's over 9,000" internet meme. Thanks, Vegeta.
Basically every major villain that
Except for
Goku
Cell and
fought
Frieza, yeah.
up to the Vegeta arc, basically every major antagonist in the Dragon Ball series up to Vegeta turned good guy.
Yeah.
Every single one of them except Pilaf.
And Pilaf's a
was
joke villain
sort of a-
anyway, so.
Yeah.
So it's not that rare. But
yeah.
in terms of placement, I agree.
Also, there was Android 18.
He's more interesting than Goku by far.
He's also a prick, though.
Well,
He mellows
the
out as the
difference-
series goes on.
Well, here's the thing, okay? Vegeta and Goku were both created at completely different points in the Dragon Ball series' lifespan. Goku, like I said, is sort of a relic of the time when it was a comedy series, which is why he's such a wacky character. Vegeta was created like at the zenith of the action bent, so he fits in perfectly
Yeah.
with Dragon Ball Z.
He represents the action side of Dragon Ball, as Goku represents the comedic side.
Yeah. And, I think Vegeta slides a little bit more naturally into the comedy moments than Goku does into the full action.
Well, because the humor is he's out of his element.
Yeah, well, that,
Bingo!
that often does work on a self-awareness way.
I feel like we need Maria here because I don't know anything about Vegeta. She fucking loves that guy.
Well,
I don't know. Just insert clip of
Wait,
Maria
I thought
here.
this DBZ that was just a name.
No, you say that, but we were comparing Piccolo to Knuckles and Vegeta to Shadow earlier. So
That basically is how it is. Like, Shadow is Piccolo is Knuckles, Shadow is Vegeta. I guess Krillin is Tails, although that would mean that Krillin is better than Goku in every single way.
No. You know what? You know what? It perfectly fits because Krillin keeps getting his ass killed so that Goku can win.
Krillin's also a better parent than Goku.
Everyone's a better parent than Goku.
Yeah,
Piccolo's a better parent than Goku.
I always liked Krillin more than Goku. Poor guy never catches a break.
Okay, Krillin stays home with his wife and kid, alright? Goku goes off on a one-year adventure to train the reincarnation of the last supervillain, who, by the way, is another example of a character who became good after being a bad guy. Twice, if you count...
Yeah, twice, if you count Fat Boo.
If you count Fat Boo and Oob both.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether or not I agree with Vegeta being this high, but I will agree that I find him a better character than Goku in Z.
I think that
In
he
Z
probably
specifically.
should have been closer to Goku, just for the sake of the list. But
But,
Yeah.
well, they're spreading stuff out to keep things interesting.
yeah, but that's
to
not how
the
you should
audience.
list things.
Yeah, I know it's not, but this is IGN. They run on
Clickbait
Idiots.
I was about to say they run on as many clicks as they can get, you know. But
Not quite as egregious as BuzzFeed, but pretty close.
BuzzFeed wouldn't have
Well-
a 90 thing long list because that will keep people
Look.
attention.
look, okay, you have to get as bad as Gawker before I stop listening to you.
Top 10 Dragon Ball Z characters named Vegeta. Okay.
Number 2 will shock you.
They're all fucking Vegeta.
Okay.
Maria's ultimate list is
Um,
every character is Vegeta.
No, Bulma has to be on there too because she likes Bulma, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, good point.
Number 6.
Number one is Bulma and Vegeta.
Number 6 is Bart Simpson.
Yeah, my boy.
Like again, maybe this is due to me not watching much Simpsons, but Bart's kind of an annoying dick. So
Well, I would say Bart is early Bart is just as much of a relic of the 90s as Beavis and Butthead were. And
True, yeah, but to be fair, unlike Beavis and Butthead, Bart has evolved.
yeah,
over
Bart
the
has.
years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like early Simpsons.
Yeah.
It's like the only 90s left in him is that fucking haircut and the skateboard.
Yeah, and the skateboard.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things. I forget the context, but Ryan was complaining about something on Twitter, and I linked him to a picture that was. It's the clip. It's the thing of Skinner going, "Am I out of date? No, it's the children who are wrong." and Ryan was just like, growing up is realizing that Bart's a little shit and Skinner's correct. Which I thought was hilarious. But Bart, like growing up, like he was like my favorite character in anything as a kid. 'Cause he was like the coolest cartoon character there ever was.
Bart's first words were "Ay caramba."
Yeah.
He's kind of dropped all the like catchphrasey type stuff, like the "Eat my shorts, I caramba"
Oh
stuff.
yeah, the eat my shorts, I caramba, don't have a cow.
Which again, those
Yeah.
catchphrases are a product of the 80s / 90s.
The-
Like you don't
the
really
only
get that
time
anymore.
in recent times that I've heard him say "Eat my shorts" was deliberately as part of the Family Guy crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he and Stewie had this thing going on, which is kind of adorable in a demented sort of way. I liked that crossover.
When I was at least aware of my surroundings watching TV, I found Bart funny, but my eyes and ears were always on Homer.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I just found him more interesting and a hell of a lot funnier because of the situations he got. And Bart, again, was meant for the younger crowd. But in my case, I guess I was too young to get it. And by the time I developed taste and all that, it was Homer that I stuck to from beginning to end.
By the time you developed taste, Bart was dated.
Yeah.
Well, it's like almost like we said with Futurama. Bart was the breakout character, but then the series shifted around like season 4/5. It shifted more towards Homer, just like Futurama shifted more towards Fry.
Yeah.
You know, but again, like as terms of animated icons, you kind of don't really get much bigger than Bart Simpson.
No, I'd say in more recent years, Homer has become more merchandisable than Bart.
Well, yes, but I would say, if we're honest with ourselves, The Simpsons nowadays is nowhere near as big as it was in the early 90s.
That's true. Like,
Yeah.
Because it sucks now.
I like it stinks. Yes, we know, Mr. Sherman. Everything
Yes,
stinks.
Mr. Malice, everything stinks.
I wouldn't say it stinks because from what I've seen,
I like
of
it.
modern, it's plenty entertaining to watch, just not pure gold.
it stinks in the
anymore.
same way modern SpongeBob stinks. I think, or modern SpongeBob stinks in the same way modern Simpsons does.
What I forget what season we're currently on, either 26 or 27, but I've been watching them on Hulu, and again, it's not as good as like season 4/5, but I'll take Modern Simpsons over fucking Family Guy any day of the week.
All right, I'll agree with that.
Family Guy is a fucking chore to watch nowadays.
Yeah,
It's painful.
For the most part, like I can find different, various scattered moments in any given episode of Family Guy entertaining, but if I sit down to watch Family Guy, it's going to be the early seasons.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
So number 5 is Beavis, and again,
Talking about dated things.
What?
why is Beavis? First off, why is Beavis? I still think that Beavis and Butthead should have been one character on this list, but why is Beavis 5
Yes.
spots above Butthead, above a bunch of other hugely recognizable characters?
Why does Beavis outrank Bart Simpson?
I get the
Yeah.
feeling that the one who did this list was a major MTV fan.
Is an idiot. Person who did this was an idiot. I mean, I loved of the two of them, Beavis was always my favorite of the two, because there was a bit like the thing about Beavis was that Butthead was just a dick. Beavis, there's elements of more to him than that. Also, it's one of my favorite lines. This episode where Butthead's choking on chicken, and like Beavis calls 911, and he's on the phone with some like nurse, and the nurse is going, "Sir, have you Heimlicked the victim? I repeat, have you Heimlicked the victim?" And Beavis just goes, "Have I licked his rectum? No way!"
Okay, here's a bullet point that confuses me. Beavis's fire catchphrase caught flack in the 90s when a fire was caused by a child, prompting MTV to edit the phrase from episodes. Okay, first off, what rockhead
that
parent would let
happened,
a kid
yeah.
watch this
No,
show?
the kid didn't even watch Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, but
Nope.
okay. if there's no correlation between children and the show, why?
Because people are stupid.
You have to remember that the 90s was a time when the Power Rangers had to come on and say, "Don't beat people up like we do. That's bad." Okay, like I think
Beast Wars had to be called Beasties because the Canadian government didn't like the word war. Censorship was insane in the 90s. If you think censorship's bad now, fucking look at it was in the 90s.
Fires happen all the time, and they're just as much of a tragedy, no matter who causes them. Why, for this one fire, do we have to censor the word fire from an adult's cartoon show?
Because I think people in the 90s had very low opinion of children. I think, they thought that they had to talk down to children, which is why, a lot of these cartoons are so great because during this time they didn't dumb down to children,
Well, again, Beavis and Butthead was never marketed as a children's cartoon.
I know they weren't, but kids would watch it anyway in the same...
yeah. I mean... Beavis and Butthead was the first of the cartoons in the 90s that was heavily targeted by, like, parent groups. Like before South Park came out, Beavis and Butthead was the show that people tried to get taken off the air. Even like, it's because you go back and watch it now, and aside from some of the super early episodes where really fucked up stuff happens that even Mike Judge has denounced, like it's pretty tame by today's standards. Like in terms of like the offensive things that would happen, like nothing really happens.
It's just the connotation that a cartoon's supposed to be for kids, which we all know is BS. But at the time, and still to this day, people still think, oh, if it's animated, that means it's okay for me to show to my children, and yeah, it's dumb.
No.
I just got this great cartoon, Legend of the Overfiend. Let's get little Timmy and show it to him.
Hey,
okay.
Deadpool looks safe.
Oh my god, fucking
Akira,
idiot.
anyone?
Yeah.
Okay,
let's go watch Fritz the
Okay,
Cat.
so anyway, number 4 actually kind of pisses me off. Number 4 is Pikachu.
Same here.
It's Pikachu.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Okay, Pikachu is not a character.
No. I think it specifically means the Pikachu.
Yeah.
Anime.
Still, I don't think it counts.
Even still, it doesn't have a character.
That
Again.
Pikachu had, a very distinct personality to it.
I'm going to
I
agree
would
with
say
Lewis on this
it
one.
counts, but I don't think it counts.
Not for number 4, no.
The placement is a different thing, but
Yeah.
this Pikachu clearly has a personality, and it sticks out from all the other Pikachus for a reason.
Again, to beat a dead horse, fucking better than Optimus Primal? I don't think so. Like, what the fuck?
Truck, not Pokemon.
Monkey, not Pikachu.
At the very least, it's better than putting Ash on this list, because goddamn.
Yeah.
I think we all be in an uprising if that.
We need Brock. Brock better be number 1. That's what I'm gonna say. We'll turn this frying pan into a drying pan, motherfuckers. Let's go.
Well,
Jelly-filled donut. Number 3 is Eric Cartman.
Cartman's number 3. This list sucks.
Cartman outranks Bart Simpson.
Cartman's. I don't like Cartman. Cartman is.
No one actually likes Cartman.
Okay, honestly, I don't even think he's personally all that funny most of the time. He's just like.
He's not. He's just a dick.
He's just mean-spirited and gross. Like. I mean, granted, I understand that in some instances Cartman's supposed to be the mouthpiece of a quote-unquote bad opinion, but with that said, they often play him straight too much to the point where it feels like the stuff he's saying is supposed to be taken seriously, and I hate him. I hate him so much.
Well, it's like his most defining character trait is that he crosses the line so many fucking times.
And it's not even so much crossing the line. It's that he rarely, if ever, gets any comeuppance for it.
Why would anybody choose to be friends with Eric Cartman? And I mean, I know like all of the South Park kids don't like Cartman, and they kind of like.
And they're just kind of forced to be with him because he's in the class.
But why would they? Yeah. Why would they hang out with Cartman? Why would they play video games with Cartman? Why would they play these like games after school with Cartman? Why would they wait at the bus stop with him? Why would you spend more time than you need to with this utter complete douchebag?
Because his mom's hot.
Well, because it's either that or social isolation, dude.
I'd rather be socially isolated than hang out with Cartman.
Stan and like maybe Butters I can see hanging out with Cartman, but Kenny, Stan, and Kyle, they could all be together without having to hang with Cartman. Like, they have friends. Everybody else is pretty chum with each other, except for Cartman, who's just a dick.
Maybe it's because they're not douchebags and they're too polite to say no.
No, they have no problem telling off Cartman.
Oh yeah, I mean most of the interaction between Kyle and Cartman is just them telling the other to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, because Cartman's an anti-Semite.
Cartman's an anti-everything.
Cartman literally tries to start a neo-Nazi revolution. Okay, why would you want to spend time with this? Ugh.
Cartman is like the sum up Cartman. He's Tumblr's worst nightmare. He just hates everything.
But again, that's the joke. It's whether or not you find the joke funny.
It's not.
Yeah.
I don't.
But only certain amount of time.
I like Cartman. I probably like Cartman the most. I mean, I completely understand what you guys are saying, but I understand why he's this high. I get it.
Look how angry we're getting over him. Mission accomplished.
Exactly.
In other news, can we move on to number 2?
Yeah.
Harley
This
Quinn.
is one of my favorites. Harley Quinn. Yeah, she made number 2.
I'm kind of surprised she's almost at the top of the list, personally. Like,
I know, because it's weird because in terms of characters created in the 90s that still are relevant today. I mean, especially with something like Suicide Squad coming out and her own book, Harley Quinn has arguably never been more popular.
Which is
like
probably
now.
why she's so high on this list.
Yeah, totally.
Harley Quinn. Always liked this character.
Harley Quinn.
Yep.
Oh god. She's at first blush she's really just she seems like a comedy villain, but when you actually watch the series, all of the episodes that involve Harley Quinn from her earliest appearance onward, they explore quite a couple of different things with her, and when she appears in the comics later on, they go even more in depth into those things, particularly her troubled relationship with the
Joker and Harley Quinn is just straight up an abusive relationship.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, it's because when the first episode she appeared in, Joker's Favor, there was no backstory. They just Paul Dini, who wrote the script, just wanted a female henchman for the Joker.
Yeah.
There was no like plan to bring her back. There's just it'd be funny if he had a female character, and she proved popular, so they kept bringing her back. And then it wasn't until her backstory was revealed. It was Mad Love. It was the I think it was called the Batman Adventures. It was the comic book based on the TV show, based on the comic book.
The new Batman Adventures, I think it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, it started. It was first the issue because it was drawn in the original animated series style, so it was connected to that show, and it was Mad Love. It was this big, like 60 pages book where it went into her backstory, and like it won all kinds of awards. And then when they brought it back for the new Batman Adventures, they adapted it into the cartoon show, and so like that was because she's a psychologist who kind of fell in love with the Joker and was kind of seduced by him, and then just went fucking crazy, and now she tries to murder people.
But if I recall correctly, Harley Quinn's role throughout the generation has become less of Joker's lackey and more of an established character for herself. Is that correct? Because
she's always going to be tied to the Joker, but she's gone off and done her own thing.
Like I don't know how. I've never really read it, but I'm not. It's kind of it's hard. She was created as a satellite character. Like, she was created as a character to interact with Joker, so I think it's inherently a little bit more difficult for her to branch off effectively. But whether or not it succeeds, I'm not sure because I've never read any solo Harley Quinn things at all.
I think Harley Quinn, it's not like a Ren and Stimpy where you need them both.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying her inception was as a counterpart to the Joker.
Yes, and you're right. I mean, like obviously, Joker works, fine on his own. Same, Harley Quinn does work on her own. I mean, there's even episodes. Well, one of the best episodes I think
Harley's
of the animated series. And Harley's Holiday. I think it's called. Yeah, I mean, it's just her trying to live a normal life, and certain events kind of pull her back into a life of crime. And there's no Joker. There's no mention of the Joker. And obviously her pretty successful, and I think it's pretty well liked. Her current book shows that she works on her own, but there's something we put the two of them together. I think they have great. They almost have chemistry as good as Batman and the Joker.
Of all the characters from my Skype call to drop on, why my favorite on the list?
Well, everyone's pretty much gone on what they had to say. So, what about you?
Well, I don't know what's been said already. The call dropped.
Just say it anyway.
You know, I was talking about how they went into they went in and they explored, well, first of all, the abusive relationship with the Joker. That turned into probably, I would say, a much deeper issue in Harley Quinn's story than they intentionally than they intended to make it when they debuted her. But you know what? I completely lost my thread because I spent the last 30 seconds panicking over my Skype call.
In any case, she is probably the most developed character from Batman, the animated series. So, like, I understand her being at the top. It's, again, the placement. And one common thing with these IGN lists, whenever we do them, is that most of the characters on this list deserve to be on it, but it's just the placing that's all weird. So, yeah.
I wouldn't have put Harley Quinn second. It's an odd placement, but again, I completely understand why she's here.
I probably would have put her in the top 10 myself, though.
Well, I definitely see putting her above Batman and the Joker, because even as someone who doesn't like Batman, I find her more interesting than the Joker.
We get it, Ted, okay?
Yeah.
We get it!
But, you know, the thing about that, even, though, is that, you know, she started as a Batman character, but she's branched off. She's turned into her own thing now. And, like, she'll appear as the Joker's sidekick in a lot of Batman stuff, like the Arkham series. But as far as the comics are concerned, she's a solo act now.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know how much pull the comics. I don't know if they're going to keep that when they reboot DC again. So, yeah.
I think Harley Quinn is not so much in terms of characterization, but Harley Quinn is currently, she's like Marvel's Deadpool. She's the breaker character that they're marketing the fuck out of.
Yeah, that in her solo series is mostly comedy.
I will say that most of the new designs for Harley Quinn in anything past like 2008 have been awful. Like,
well,
she's. I mean, and this is an issue of comics in general. She's oddly sexualized now, which where like she wasn't in her section.
It's kind of, well, part of the reason for that, I think, is that Amanda Connor's style just does that. She's done characters like Power Girl and stuff before. The other thing, though, is that it's part of the joke a lot of the time with Harley. For example, she did a crossover with Power Girl, which I think Connor and stuff wrote because of Connor's previous history with that series. And Harley Quinn, for this crossover only, custom makes a parody costume based on Power Girls, not only with a boob window, but a window directly above her derriere. And you only see it for like one panel where she turns around and attempts to mesmerize a mugger with it, and the mugger is just so flummoxed by this that he just stops and sort of has a head scratcher moment, and this distracts him long enough for Power Girl to stop him.
I will say though, to go back to the show, talking about things that the cartoons got away with. In the episode Mad Love, again, they took it from the book. Yes, she's in a negligee, bending over on a table, saying, "Come on, honey, Puddin', do you want to rev up your Harley?" And starts in a motorcycle. How the fuck did you get away with this?
Of course, the Joker's so obsessed with Batman that he doesn't.
No, Batman. When if he's in the universes where sex is a thing in Batman, when Batman fucks Harley Quinn, he's thinking about fucking Batman. So you know, it's true.
Ted.
Okay.
No, Ted. You just said when Batman fucks Harley Quinn, he's thinking about fucking Batman.
Oh, did I?
So Batman.
Oh. Well, Bruce Wayne is egotistical enough to think about having sex with himself. So
when Batman has sex with Harley Quinn, he's thinking about just, I wish you were me.
Am I wrong, though? Am I wrong?
Oh, man, Ted, everyone knows Batman doesn't have a libido.
Hey, Lewis, Muscular Phantasm he does.
Batman has Muscular Phantasm.
Batman has a kid. I'm kidding. He's if I had to
I want to tweet
describe-
that. I want to fucking.
if I had to describe Batman's orientation, it would be Talia sexual.
No, he's
because he's like he's got that one love interest, and then he's got a sort of a one-sided thing with Catwoman that only ever actually becomes something in an alternate universe, because that's where the Huntress comes from. And comics are stupid. I just realized that.
let's just go on. Number
All
one.
right, moving on to number 1 is Homer Simpson.
As it should be.
I've never watched enough of The Simpsons, but I get this one. I think is the important thing.
I can see you. The Simpsons was really influential.
He added a word
Yeah.
to the dictionary.
Yeah, I would say the most influential thing of the 90s.
Yeah,
fucking
and so
Simpsons.
regardless of how utterly screwed this list is in terms of general placement, I'd say Homer Simpson at number 1 just makes sense.
Yes, I think any other you couldn't have anything else other than Homer Simpson as number 1.
Yeah.
So what is
I don't
this
think it is.
horrifying clay CG thing in the video on this page?
That is from a episode
Halloween
from
special,
Tales of
yeah.
Horror 5 when there was this new fancy thing called CG, and so they have Homer and Bart go into a CG world.
Huh.
And it's terrifying, and then Homer winds up in the real world.
Ooh, erotic case.
Is it like a real world
Okay.
actor painted yellow playing Homer?
No, it's a CG Homer in the real world.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glad it didn't stay that way. Did
No,
he wake up in
it's
bed and realize
a
it's
Treehouse of
dream?
Horror episode. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're all non-canon.
There's a Simpsons canon.
Yeah.
Well, in some, I see what you're getting at, Ted. But
Why is Bart still that young?
yeah,
They've had like 5 different origin stories as to how Homer and Marge got married. So
Maybe I remember it one way, maybe another.
The killing joke is this engagement ring. It's gaudy as hell, man.
The Killing Choke starring Homer Simpson. Yeah. All right, lads. All right.
Okay.
holy shit, we went for like 5 hours. God,
yeah.
Oh. Do we even
Are we-
have
oh,
time
are we-
for
are we-
today's commentary session now?
no.
Yeah. Again, Ryan, you told me we'd be done by 12. It's now 4.
You knew what you were getting into.
My wife left the house mad at me because we've been going for so
You could have
long.
left.
No, I couldn't leave you guys. You're my real wives.
The body pillow comes when?
It's just a picture of Ted on a body pillow. Ted is
Well,
my wife.
I'm not comfortable with you sexualizing me like that, okay?
Somebody has to.
Hey, when Ted's fucking someone, he's
When I'm fucking my Ted pillow, I'm really thinking about fucking Ted.
Okay, let's add that to the list of things I'm never going to live down.
It really goes to show like what our opinions on these things are when we spend nearly fucking 50 minutes on Wolverine and Harley Quinn. They only spend 2 on Homer.
Because the thing about Homer is like what can you say that has he is without question one of the greatest characters who's ever been invented.
And not to mention, we've already talked about like 5 other things from The Simpsons at this point.
yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
I think when we got the Bart, we talked a lot about Homer then, but like he completely deserves to be number 1. I think it would if he was not number 1, this would be a terrible list.
And
but,
it's still not a terrible list.
no. This list is fucking horrible. Like I now get why you guys do so many IGN
We haven't done
lists,
one in like a
'cause
year.
Optimus Primal 88. Go fuck yourself. Whoever wrote this piece of shit list. And I will say, no, like, where the fuck were the Animaniacs?
Oh, you're right. They weren't. This list is garbage. Jesus Christ.
They couldn't even.
You know what? Trash this whole audio. Don't upload it.
They could have just put Beavis and Butthead together into one entry and put the Animaniacs into another, since apparently group entries are a thing in this
No,
list.
Lewis, we've been over this. You can only do groups for females. Men have to have their
No,
own
Dot's
list.
in the Animaniacs, so
Oh shit.
So Dot gets one, then Yakko and Wacko get another. Okay. No, if this was we would get the Animaniacs as one, and then Wacko and Yakko would get their own separate entry, like 20 pages up.
All right then.
Well, I think we've said enough.
This has been a fantastic trip down memory lane. Feels like the good old days when we opened up IGN on a whim and just went on for hours and hours about how shit the list is.
Just remember, if we were back at 10-minute parts, this would have been like a 30-part commentary.
Those were the days, though.
What, 2 months ago?
Fuck you.
Everyone, copyright strike bomb FTCR.
Please, at least that means someone's watching it. Jesus Christ!
Joke's on you. They gotta find me first.
They'll never find my channel. Get fucked, Ryan.
Well, just get Vector to help us find it.
Yeah.
Actually,
There we go.
whenever we have a guest in a video, I put them in the video credits and I put a card up for their channels.
Nobody reads descriptions.
I also put a card up in the channel, which is this little pop-up thing on the side of the video.
Yeah. So you just put go and flame this account.
Whatever you say.
Just please just name this video Optimus Primal's 88. Fuck you, IGN.
I had fun.
This was fun. This was a fun 6 hours.
Now let's never speak of it again.
Remember, everyone, we parked in the itchy lots.